Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Urban Legends video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another one here. This one actually a random one that I found online from a website called urbanlegendsonline.com. I just came across this website the other day and I was looking at it. I realized, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. This is a portal of so many urban legends, some of them unverified, some of them that are actually true, that I can just go through one by one, and it's a great place. I highly recommend it if you have a chance to look at it, because you'll see so many different stories. So just on a whim, I looked at this one, and this is actually a 100% true urban legend. It's a very fascinating story that goes into the idea of perception versus reality. The whole notion that what one people consider to be very good on one side, under a very different scenario, same person, same instrument, that case, and in a different scenario, it would be a completely different result. And so when you think about it, you realize absolutely, how many different ways you think about things on a daily basis, and how much of it it's affected by, I guess, society, by social perception, just by your own thoughts as well. And you start realizing, my goodness, this stuff is true. It has to do with this. There's the urban legend of Joshua Bell, world famous, in this case, violinist who played in a Washington subway. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the information associated with this particular entry. So here's what happened. Just a quick summary on Joshua Bell himself. I haven't heard of him before. I think probably some of you have as well, when it comes to who this guy is. He's someone that is a world famous violinist. He's someone that has been playing around for a good amount of years, and he did this all from a very young age. I think starting since the age of 5, and then by the time he was 17, he was playing at Carnegie Hall, and ever since then he's just been playing with other orchestras, with famous conductors, and then even some celebrities as well. He's even a lot of his tracks have come on soundtracks too. So he's someone that has pretty much played the full gamut when it comes to that stuff. He also routinely sells out his performances. So whenever he has a performance anywhere, wherever that concert is, he's the headliner, and then he could also have the entire place sold out, and in some cases selling out at a price of $100 plus when it comes to each ticket. So all of this fame has allowed him to get some very expensive instruments. In this case, he has a violin, a Stradivarius, that he ended up purchasing for just a little under $4 million. Who knew that those violins could go for so much? No doubt because of their rarity, which ironically ties into the perception thing too, that I'll talk about here in a minute. But yes, he ended up purchasing that violin, and I think that has remained his baby thereafter. There's a documentary on it too, showcasing the history of that $4 million violin, called The Return of the Violin. But yes, indeed, all of that culminated into this. So the Washington Post decided to do an experiment. They wanted to see what would happen if you took, in this case, a world famous violinist, one who actually played a sold-out performance just days before in a very big famous concert hall for a big pricing when it comes to the tickets. Imagine if you took him and then placed him within a nonchalant subway station, just basically one of those people that stand by the entrances playing their music. How would people perceive this thing? What would they say? Would they recognize him? Would they recognize, if not him, at least the beautiful music that's playing from that person? Would they stop? Would they actually say hello? Would they even consider his existence? I think the official term for these people are buskers, if I'm not mistaken. I see those all the time, those people there in Las Vegas too. The most common being the people that dress in the costumes, but there's other forms of buskers which also include those that play instruments. So the Washington Post wanted to see what people's reactions would be, particularly if they would stop during their busy, hectic morning to recognize what was happening beyond, I guess, their small circumference, whatever their world was at that time. So this happened on January 12th, 2007. There was a videotape that was hidden, like a camera that was placed nearby. This guy, Joshua Bell, he came in. He actually had, if you could believe this too, his $4 million violin with him on that subway station. So he went there. He was in a disguise, I guess, as you can see here, like he had on a cap as well. I don't know if he put on a wig or if that is his real hair, but otherwise he just dressed normally, and then he had on that hat and then potential wig too. And then there he was. He just started performing. There was no notice of this happening beforehand, like nothing in terms of someone posting this, let's say on Facebook or something else from the Washington Post stating go see him during this time period. No, this was just done out of the blue, on the cuff, so that way the true raw reaction could be gauged. And as was expected, it seemed like this was something that the Washington Post knew would happen, and it makes sense. When he started playing, and he played for 45 minutes, very few people paid any attention to him. Remember, just a few days earlier, he was playing an entire sold-out concert there in that same area. Now, here, everyone, and it was estimated that up to 1,000 people passed him by throughout this entire 45-minute performance, because he did a real performance, like no different than he was, like, let's say, doing it at the concert. But here, 1,000 people passed, and they didn't even stop. In fact, only 7 people actually stopped to listen to him, and the way the legend goes, one of them was a young boy who apparently either recognized him or was marveling at the music that was playing. And then some people would actually start throwing money, let's say, at him or whatever he had on the bottom. I don't know if he had like a tip jar or a bucket or a hat, something else that buskers usually use, but they threw some money down every now and then. And eventually, for his 45-minute performance, he collected a grand total of $32 and then 17 cents. And he counted apparently the number of people that did this. 27 people passed this. One of them, in fact, gave a 20. So if you were to take that passer, the person that passed by, the $20 away, then 26 people would have given him around $12 and change, which is again kind of crazy when you think about it, because again, just a few days back, people were paying more than $100 each to go see him, and then here, very same performance, different setting, but now it's over just a little, in this case, over $20, not including that one passerby with the 20. So pretty interesting stuff. This article ended up winning a Pulitzer Prize because of the experiment, and then there was a documentary that also chronicled it. It was called Find Your Way, a Busker's documentary, and it all ties in back to perception, what I was mentioning earlier. It is pretty unique when you think about it. There's the idea that what someone thinks about something is largely influenced by their surroundings, by society, by other social factors. Biggest thing you can point to is any kind of art. Everyone has the ability to have some art within them. It's just, for whatever reason, one art over another gains more popularity, more importance, and once that happens, it's almost like a collective mass. Like all of a sudden, everyone starts saying, this is the art to have, and then because of that, it's suddenly important. And while at the same time, that art a few years back was nowhere near important, now all of a sudden it is. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it with him, with this guy Joshua Bell and his settings, how much that completely changed everything. On the opposite side, I like to think of it this way too. Like everyone, when they go here in America overseas, they can go to some place like in Italy and then find this place, like a small mom and pop restaurant or whatever, some small corner food stop and say and think, oh my goodness, this looks so nostalgic. This looks so fascinating. Here you have like bread being baked right there on the street. Here you have these wooden chairs that are rickety, and there's dust on the floor. I mean, it just looks so wonderful being here in Italy. If you were to take that very same corner shop and then place it, let's say, within the very same town that person came from, that they live in, and they walked by it, very same thing, like dirt floor, rickety chairs, bread being baked out in the open, almost like unsanitary, if you will, and people would be like, oh God, no way, I'm not going to go into this restaurant to look at it. I mean, it looks dilapidated. There's nothing there that interests me at all. Yet one place, people are paying hundreds of dollars to go over and enjoy that experience, to travel there, and in another place, they're just walking by it repulsed. I mean, that's the opposite way that I like to think of it when it comes to perception. But yes, this is a pretty nice urban legend to read about, this Joshua Bell experiment. Those people that were there in that subway station during that one day, that one performance, who knew that when they were walking by that they could have enjoyed for free, in this case, a 45-minute performance from him, if they would have stopped to collect it, to stop the, and then see and hear his music. The only thing I didn't like about the experiment is that it seems like it pulled into people's idea that, well, why aren't you doing more time such as this? Why aren't you stopping and enjoying the scenery? Sometimes people just don't have time. People have to work every day, and then they have to work long hours as well. The idea that all of a sudden they're being told, almost guilt-like, that hey, if you don't stop by and then see your surroundings and enjoy them, it's kind of like your fault. Maybe, well, who knows? At the same time, the bills ain't exactly going to stop for a performance for 45 minutes, or the job won't necessarily understand that you waited 45 minutes extra to see this performance from Mr. Bell. And then on top of that too, there's the other guilt factor of, well, what if you're watching and then you don't pay? Like, you don't pay $1, $5, whatever is the case. Now it's on you. Now the onus is on you, and that's another thing that I just didn't like about it too. But anyways, what do you guys think about this urban legend? A true one, no less. If anyone knows of this experiment from that area, maybe there's a lucky chance someone here listening now actually passed by that subway station on that fateful day. That'd be really, really good to hear what your thoughts were on that too. So, alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.